All right, this is assignment 4.1, middle school news article. News article from the KR07.com from Seattle, Washington, reporting on a young boy, Lucas Swearingen, and the investigative reporter Amy Clancy from the KIRO7 news reported on Lucas and the situation of him jumping over the railing at school at the North Thurston Public School. In the assignment to discuss aspects of the human development that may or may not have made this young man vulnerable to what had occurred. He was diagnosed with autism spectrum, bipolar, and mood disorders. So he did have an IEP, an individual educational plan, but from the report, the school definitely did not make accommodations for him. He was bullied. The school definitely did not have consequences for the bullies. It seemed like it was this reoccurring thing that this young boy was bullied. And with the autism, he probably was socially awkward. Parents said that he was shorter than other students. He was picked on. He's maybe with autism, you're socially awkward. You're maybe not picking up on other people's social cues. You're maybe not understanding your own emotions and how to regulate your own emotions, which unfortunately maybe was an easier target for those bullies to pick on him. What is the impact of the students diagnosed with mental health status on the situation? What was the impact of the students diagnosed with? Not really understanding that question, so we'll just move on. Identify the age-appropriate training for the school could have done to prevent and address the situation. I know there are some schools that encourage teachers become registered behavioral technicians, so they're a little bit more attuned and understanding behavioral issues, how to accommodate those with autism, how to motivate, how to redirect. And from this article, it doesn't sound like the teachers, counselors, or the principal was well equipped to deal with a student with autism. As a future counselor, what would you have done differently? If I was either the counselor for the student or for the parents, I would have, and if they were reaching out to me because he was being bullied, I would recommend that the parents homeschool. I would explain that I am a parent, a homeschooler of a young child with autism in roughly that age group, that I focus on him and his learning and in his comfort level, to hopefully prevent that situation of him jumping over the railing and having those emotions and being bullied, feeling alone. It's happened. So if I was a counselor after the fact, I would have a lot of difficulty counseling either Lucas or the parents with calm and um, objectivity, because I took this very personal. Um, Obviously, would trigger any parent of a child feeling like this is your only way of jumping over the railing at school. Um, so for me, it's very triggering. Not that I had any similar of a situation, but it was very frustrating during the pandemic just to get my child to learn virtually and having the teachers and the principal not making any accommodations for a child with different abilities. So I can understand the parent. I can understand the parents wanting to make the story public. I would, if I was their counselor, it would take a lot of self-control on my part to not want to say, "Oh yeah, we're going to work together to bring the school down." Um, so that would be a lot of self-control on my part. Um, how would you have worked with the students' parents to help them? How would you work with outside agencies to help students in types of this type of situation? Um, I mean, it sounds like the teachers and the whole school is not well equipped to deal with autism and those with different abilities. Um, and I would definitely advocate for the school and the teachers to be trained with autism to recognize. Um, I mean, it just is unbelievable that the counselor did not act on the students verbalizing his need to jump, and for the counselor to say, yeah, I think that he could do this, and then doing nothing about it and not talking to the parents is really unbelievable, and unethical. So I would hope that the parents are successful in their legal pursuit. As a future professional community counselor, how would you have recommended the students' parents do to help navigate the situation better? Um, I mean, like I had said, had I been their counselor before this had happened, I would recommend that the parents become homeschoolers, um, to just help them and their child become a little bit more emotionally equipped to handle school. Middle school is already an awkward phase, awkward school. You have students are going through changes, hormonal changes, puberty, and now with students of autism and bipolar and emotional disorders in that, um, it becomes a very awkward situation. Um, And even if, depending on the state, they're in Washington State, certainly not Wisconsin. But, I would definitely recommend that the parent homeschool or be more involved, saying, hey, school, I'm going to be at school. I'm going to be checking in on the student. And I know since the pandemic, kids or parents aren't allowed to walk their student to their first class. There's been a lot of restrictions with access to the building since all of that, and trying to minimize the germs. But I think in this case that the parents need to push back a little bit more. And if they're not getting school accommodation, then that should tell you where the school rates your child. And then you need to take their education on your own. Going forward, how would you work with a student to prepare him to return to a school environment? I would work with him on coping strategies. We're working with him on understanding his own emotions, um, working on when people try to pick on you or trigger you, that they probably have their own things that they're fighting and struggling, and you're the weak one that they think that they could push over and make themselves feel better. And they're probably having maybe difficulties at home as well. And hopefully try to get the child to understand both sides and not to excuse what happened and not to excuse bullying. But I think bullying is learned behavior. That's not your default to bully kids. That's happening somewhere at home, in the environment. They're seeing it, they're witnessing it, they're not being corrected on it. So, like I said, this was the story from the Seattle, Washington news report of KRO7. And the investigator reporter was Amy Clancy. So thank you.